Well, hello. My name is Mike Stewart, and I'm running for State Senate in Tacoma's 27th District. And thank you very much for joining us here on Issue 40. And Issue 40 is state civil liability caps. And this is one, like when you look at it, just today, you look at, in essence, winning the lottery today is winning a lawsuit against the state. And, forget about the big corporations and this and that, but just the sheer amount of lawsuits that come in against the state trying to, just get rich quick. And the millions and millions, and I don't even know how much it is every year that the state pays out in settlements. But I think where I'm coming at it from is what if there were some transparency around it? Because you look at some stuff and the jury awards are just absolutely insane from a civil standpoint. It's like, I don't even know, I don't want to do examples, but let's say, you do something, you're having a bad day and, blah, blah, blah. And then, later on you end up getting sued, and just the sheer dollar amount involved, involves the rest of your life, trying to figure out how to pay that off. And so a lot of people with those size of things, you don't like suing someone who, it's going to take the rest of their life. They really can't even pay it forward. But people like to sue the state and public institutions because, the quote of deep pockets. And there just needs to be some transparency as to, what is what. Why does everything need to, depend so much on the attorney and this and that? And I get it, civil law, common law? I don't know. One of those. The one that's not Louisiana. But yeah, and it's case law, I guess. And so, we really need to narrow down, because every jury seems like they're trying to outdo the prior one with the size of their settlements and things like this. And it's just way too much for what it is. And it's like somebody got insulted or something, and it'll be $1 million, and it's but I think what's important is now, how can we bring this to light? And how can we start to put realistic amounts on things? Because it shouldn't just be, 5 cases go in and there's 5 completely different, judgments and outcomes. That can't be the way. And then the variance in the size of the settlements would, are also going to be huge. That's not justice. That's playing craps. And, I know with lawyers, it's a challenge because there's only so many cases, and, there's only so many good cases and so many valuable cases. And then there's a lot of cases that really aren't valuable. And so, there's obviously scarcity in the market to get, the quality stuff. And, being able to sue the state is a really great thing. And, we're not saying that, people who are wrong shouldn't be able to sue the state. We're just saying there should be some expectation as to, what those numbers are, because it's so out of whack now. And the millions and millions and millions of dollars that are out the door for just about everything, it's too much. And, there is this trickle down effect, and whether it's affecting our insurance rates or it's affecting, this, that, or the other, we're being affected somewhere, because nothing in this world is free. And I'm pretty sure when it comes to insurance, whoever is granting these policies is not, they're not eating in the poorhouse. But yeah, so I think it's important more to bring that transparency, and then to make that transparency available to the public. What is the range of, a certain crime that's been committed? What are the sentencing things that have been done? And I get everyone wants to tear it apart by race, but I just want to know by thing, RCW. And, try and get some clarity, and then try and narrow down some on, what the state's actual responsibility on a lot of this stuff is. Because, it just seems like it's just going up at a rate that's insane. And if no one goes out there and tries to look out over the state's, over their pocketbooks, it's just going to keep going. And this runaway train just goes and goes. And, we just throw the debt on the future, and then we say, okay, well, whatever, it's cheap money. We could get it. It's easy. That's I think normally what it is when your debt ends up ballooning in good times. It's just, it's easy. But it's not always going to be good times, and debt's not always going to be cheap. And, sometimes money is an interesting thing because, sometimes it's cheap, sometimes it's expensive. And that doesn't always mean what you think it does. But for the state, it's just about, I think it's about looking out for the future of the state. And it's just kind of beginning to understand, how do we rein these settlements in? What law needs to be changed? Where do we need, where is the keystone in this equation to try and bring this more under wraps? Because it's out of control, and the state can't be paying this much in settlements every year for, nonsense. Or, we need to go through and start just cutting programs. If we see like a female sports program has a gazillion dollars in settlements and this and that, then it's like, well, there's like a massive problem there. And not just female sports, but or male sport, I mean, you kind of get what I'm going at, but we'll just start to tear them apart if we can't start to, identify how to kind of lessen this pain. Because, there's only two ways to do it. One is, the settlements become, like doable. And then the other is you just eliminate the programs that are creating the problems. In some areas you can do that, some areas you can't. Like when you get into, policing and things like that, you're not just going to get rid of the police. I mean, no, no, very important. Policemen, firemen, first responders, nurses, doctors. I mean, all these people are important. I know we've come back to this a lot during crime, but it's important. Teachers, everybody. We all have our role to play here in society. And I think it's important that in a way we kind of get back to playing it. And we don't kind of fantasize about all these like short-term solutions and short-term answers towards getting to important stuff. If it's important, then it means that it's worth working towards. And, we all got to work, and we all got to, in essence, kind of stay in our lanes and do our jobs. Because if we can do that, then, we're all, kind of speaking and feeling that same vibration. And as soon as we can get to that point where everybody's on that same wavelength, then our society will, operate at its highest capacity. But until that happens, we're a bit, all over the place, kind of cattywampus. And it's important that we get in tune with that speed and spin so that we can, kind of produce. And, we want Washington to be this great state, but when we see things that are anchors towards that excellence, such as massive, lawsuit settlements in a year, I think we need to start, shining a microscope there and asking ourselves, how do we address this? How do we bring these numbers down? Are we actually solving the problems here that are, creating large scale payouts? And, as a state, there's a lot of different ways to look at it, but I really want to take it back to looking at things, kind of reverse engineering from a fiscal standpoint. And if there are areas where there's lawsuits and settlements and the state's writing checks and, big zeros, we just got to work our way backwards from there. So on that note, we are going to wrap up issue 40 here and state civil liability caps. So I hope everyone's listening, everyone's enjoying. And if you are enjoying, I hope that you'll share, you'll like the videos, because we're not actually raising money. We're, the Buddhists of fundraising. And, for us, capital is people sharing our message. And it's people kind of, putting this in their feeds and seeing where it goes, and maybe kind of new people find it and then they share it. And kind of the cool thing is you have no idea like how big something can be. And maybe this is just some small thing, one guy with a camera, a couple lights, and away it goes. But, maybe it's something much, much, much bigger. And now that we're here at this 40th kind of episode, and now we're at the cut, we're at our first public vote coming up, that, now it's time for everything to get interesting. So away we go. And, fingers crossed, we're still here to make our 41st.